You heard there the voice of the race umpire, Richard Phelps, just giving the crews an indication of how they can be expected to start this race. But of course they know that. Beautiful conditions for the race. And the first of 20 finals today gets underway. It's the Cal Berkeley crew from California on the left of your screen in blue and yellow, and the Sydney Rowing Club crew. We're looking at them there. They've gone off on the right of your screen.
Great start there from both crews. The Sydney Rowing Club crew just moving out into the centre of the course. They'll have to straighten up their steering to make sure that they don't move too far across. It's very different, this kind of racing. There are no buoys down the middle of the track. Most of these athletes who've raced either nationally or internationally would be used to fleet racing. They'd be used to buoy courses, and these boats are very close together at the moment, having to make sure that they don't have a clash in blades.
So that's how close these blades are. Cal Berkeley's on the left of your screen, Sydney's on the right, and just a little bit, so we're getting a look at the British stroke man, Morgan Helen, of the Cal Berkeley crew. They had terrible trouble yesterday with their steering in the semi-final. They had to go back and restart the race because Morgan Helen didn't get his steering quite right. I think he'd be happier, Sarah, to be on that far station along the wooden booms that outline the course, but so far it's Cal Berkeley and Sydney. There's not much to choose between them.
What an evenly matched contest we have here. Sydney Rowing Club in the pale blue on the right, Cal Berkeley on screen there. Again, the crews come very close to each other. You can hear the umpire asking the crews to correct their course. I think both have come towards each other. I wouldn't say it's one crew in particular that's moved off their lane, just both crews moving a little closer together than they probably should be. It's very difficult to steer these boats. Generally, the stern man has a rudder on attached to his footplate, and he's in charge of the steering.
Yeah, that's right, and it's Josh Hicks, the Sydney stroke man, who has the rudder attached to his foot, and I guess he thinks if Cal Berkeley are going straight down the booms, he's going to steer off them. That's probably why he veered into them. You can't put a cigarette paper between those two boats. As we look at our drone shot, you get an impression of the speed that they're motoring down this course. It'll probably take them something like 6.5 minutes, 6 minutes 40 to get to the end. We're not quite at halfway yet, but Cal Berkeley just edge out into a 2 or 3 foot lead. Great race to open the day.
And you can see the different configurations here in both boats. In the Sydney Rowing Club crew, you can see in the middle of the boat there are 2 rowers rowing on the same side. This is what we call a tandem rig, whereas the Cal Berkeley crew has a more conventional rig, but they do have a bow side rower, so the oar going out to the left-hand side, stroking the boat, which is a little unusual. Generally, a conventional rig alternates sides, as we can see in the Cal Berkeley crew. The stroke man would normally row to stroke side, meaning that his oar comes out to the right-hand side. So different configurations in those 2 boats, but the Cal Berkeley crew has made a big move now. They're moving up to about a 2/3 of a boat length lead over Sydney Rowing Club on the right-hand side of shot.
So halfway down in the first final of the day, it's Cal Berkeley, the men in blue and yellow, leading the race, going out to almost a length clear of the Sydney Rowing Club men. And again, there's trouble with the steering, and Josh Hicks stroking that Sydney boat. But that's a handy lead to have at this point of the race. Look, Cal Berkeley out in the middle. Sydney are getting the puddles, their wash, which is one of the things you do in match racing, and Cal Berkeley want to stay away from those wooden booms that you can see on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of this course, which makes the regatta so unique.
And in the Sydney Rowing Club crew, the head coach is Donovan Check. The development coach that's come over here with the club is Lachlan Carter. 4 clubs from Sydney Rowing Club here. We'll see another Sydney Rowing Club crew coming up in a few finals time. So 2 boats from that club through to the finals, which is really quite extraordinary. The biggest fleet that they've sent over to the Henley Royal Regatta.
So about 600 or 700 meters to go as the drone shows you the speed of these crews. Cal Berkeley have pushed out to what looks like a race-winning lead. We're hearing it's a very fast pace. They're just 1 second off the record at the barrier. That was to the first 2 minutes of this race. So they went through that mark in something like 1 minute 54 seconds. There you get a look at how far the crews have got to go, and this Cal Berkeley crew, we're just hearing they've equalled the record at the halfway. Will they break it at the finish? So Maxwell Hall, Nicky van Spring from the Netherlands, Morgan Helen, the stroke man we've talked, and behind him in the 3 seats, that's 2 from the left of your picture. It's the Serbian Jovan Johanovic, and I have heard it said that these guys are here because their benefactor Gary Rogers, who makes masses of money in ice cream, wanted Cal Berkeley to have a crew over in Europe, Sarah, and he said, look, I'm going to be there, I want to see a crew. So Mike Tater, the head coach, said, well, we'll get 4 guys for you. These are the 4 guys that volunteered. They're over here and winning, and Gary Rogers is going to be delighted. Put so much money into the Cal Berkeley program, and if they win this first race, I'm sure they'll get a little bonus.
And you can hear the crowd now. Everyone's starting to get on their feet for this first final of Henley 2015. Sydney Rowing Club on screen. They're desperate to try and get back. Both crews have had some problems with their steering, both tending towards the middle of the course. We can see Sydney Rowing Club rowing in the puddles of Cal Berkeley, but it's going to be too much to make up in these dying stages. Cal Berkeley storming past the enclosures down towards the finish line.
So what a year for Cal Berkeley. Beat Washington, the Huskies, in the 8th race. In the Cal Washington meets the Huskies and the Bears for the first time in 4 years. And now, therefore, has won. Yes, they crossed the line. They won the visitors against Sydney. Oh, celebrations. And you can see the tension has just released itself from Morgan Robert Helen, the young lad who learnt to row at Maidstone. Acknowledgement there from the Dutchman, Nicky van Spring, with his hand. And I think that's a decent objection. Josh Hicks is holding his hand up. He thinks that they were impeded because the Cal crew steered over to their water. And I'd try it out, Sarah, wouldn't you? I mean, the umpire's going to come up to them, Richard Phelps, and he will not hold his white flag up to signify that it is a valid race, because he will listen to Sydney and they will tell him, we think that Cal came over to our station, washed us down, and it was unfair. So there you see the Sydney Rowing Club stroke man, Josh Hicks, with his hand up. What sort of bloke is he, Sarah?
Look, I don't know Josh Hicks particularly well, but he does hold the record for this event. He rowed for Harvard. He's won this event before, so he would be very unimpressed, I would think, with the steering from the Cal crew. In fairness, both crews did struggle with their steering, but I would say that he's got a valid point that in the dying stages they were rowing firmly in the puddles of the Cal crew, and it makes a huge difference for people who don't know rowing. It makes a big difference to be rowing in disturbed water. It makes it very difficult to row cleanly and smoothly, and it does slow you down.
So there he is. I have to say he's not looking very helpful. I think Phelpsy, to give him his full name, Richard Phelps, of course, Henley steward, as is his wife, Anna Marie. They've both got kids who rowed here at the regatta, and I think he's going to raise the white flag, and he's telling them, you know, that's just tough match racing at Henley. And if you're watching the race at one of those Henley parties, I know they're having Henley parties, Sarah, in America, East Coast, West Coast, and of course there may be the parties going on where everybody dresses up in these bright Henley outfits and blazers. And that is the white flag. They can really celebrate. The umpire has indicated it was a fair verdict. One of the things that you do in Ryan Maxwell Hall, the man from Arizona, is the first to whip the water up and tap Nicky van Spring on the back, and the Serbian Jovan Johanovic just congratulates Morgan Freeman. Well done, lads. A great first race for us.